Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for your patience. It is the December 6th meeting of the Recreation Commission. My name is Jake Martins. I'm the Deputy Corporate Legislative Officer, and I'm pleased to call this meeting to order and just support the selection of the presiding member for this meeting. As we've identified in previous meetings, our terms of references generally provide for the election of the chair and vice chair at the first meeting of the year, and given that we are not quite there into 2023, we will seek the selection by the commission of a presiding member for this meeting. Previously, we had sought a resolution. If the commission also just wishes to do so by consent, that works as well. We don't need to add more formality to this than we need to. So at this point, I'd be pleased to welcome any feedback from the commission members with respect to this. Director Moore.
Thank you. I'm wondering if Director McCollum would like to preside over this meeting. My suggestion.
Thanks. Is there any other feedback from the commission members respecting the presiding member appointment? If not, Dr. McCollum, you're okay to take over. Great. I'll take that as consent and support from the member, and I will vacate the seat. Thank you very much. You betcha.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we'll get started. Welcome to the December 6th Recreation Commission meeting. I'll start by acknowledging that we are gathered on the unceded territory of the Comox First Nation. And we'll start with management report. Second. Any questions or discussion? I'll vote on receipt. That's carried. And we'll move on to reports. The Comox Valley Recreation Commission terms of reference. I'll pass it over to staff.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners, and it's here for your information only. If you have any questions, staff are available.
Seeing no questions. Oh, Director Arbor.
Yes, thank you, Chair. In terms of delegated authority, it mentions in the mandate that it includes a recreation grant service. I just want to double check whether we actually completed the process to bring this under the authority of the Recreation Commission.
Jake, a question with respect to the grants portion and whether that was completed.
Oh, they're in series.
The answer was yes. We're just having some technical difficulties with that, but Jake has responded, yes, it is, Director Arbor.
Fantastic, thank you.
Is that all working now?
Yep.
On receipt, is anyone opposed to receipt? Oh, did you have a question? Just one sec. Shift. Go ahead, alternate director Jalika.
Thank you, Chair. So just in follow-up to Director Arbor's question about the community grants, and thanks to staff for meeting and kind of breaking this down for me yesterday. I don't actually see it within the authority. It references, I see it's in the mission at the end of the mission, but there's no language to a grant service within the authority. And so I'm just wondering if there was an amendment that was done, just for a point of clarification. Can we have that up on the screen so we can see what the actual terms of reference is with that, if it's in fact included?
Madam Chair, in the essence of time, could we bring that back for clarification of the board, responding to that question and giving that detail to you at the next meeting? Just as we started this meeting late and we've got some orientation to do, we can come back with that for you at your next meeting.
Yeah, that makes sense to me if there's no opposition to that. So we'll go back to receipt. Is there anyone opposed to receipt? All right, that's carried. And moving on to item number 2, Comox Valley Recreation Commission orientation. And I'll pass that to staff.
Thank you very much. And I'll hand it over to your Senior Manager of Recreation, Jennifer Zabin.
Oh.
Thank you. Through the chair, very quickly, firstly, welcome all of our Rec Commission directors to our next term together. Very excited to work together. Through the chair, staff are here today to work to provide a quick orientation on the Comox Valley Rec Complex Service 645, which includes the following facilities. And I'm going to start with the one that has the shortest history, the Aquatic Center, then the Sports Center, Arena 2, followed by the Sports Center, Pool, and Arena 1, with the facility that has the oldest history under our rec facilities, the Curling Center, which opened in 1958. The staff at both the Sports and Aquatic Centers are United Steelworkers. Oh, there we go. Sorry, Lisa, I jumped. The purpose is to provide funding to operate and maintain key rec facilities in the Comox Valley, including the Sports and Aquatic Centers. The participants are comprised of the directors from the Bain Sound Electoral Area A, Lauzon North Electoral Area B, Pontlish to Black Creek Electoral Area C, the City of Courtenay, the Town of Comox, and the Village of Cumberland, and a School District 71 trustee. And the governance is by the Comox Valley Recreation Commission. On a quick overview, the recreation service functions are aquatics, ice and wellness, and operations and administrations of the facilities, programs, and services. In 2019, the Rec Commission identified the following 5 strategic priorities that would remain for this active to the end of this term or into the new year. Asset management, partnerships, accessibility of volunteer engagement. The strategic priorities in combination with the CVRD strategic drivers, fiscal responsibility, partnerships and asset management, and climate crisis action all form part of the yearly staff work plans. And as well, Rec Services is responsible for the overall management of the CVRD programs, services, and facilities. And of note, Recreation offers over 80 different drop-in activities and 50 registered programs to choose from in an average week. With pools and arenas in particular, and curling rink as well, there are some challenges. There are inherently risky activities, anything from learning to dive to playing hockey to curling, and even just walking on the pool decks. We're constantly having to meet ongoing regulatory requirements and changes. We just received a change that's going to come down the pipeline between 2023 and 2024, and that has to do with lifeguarding levels again on the pool decks. And of course, the asset management dealing with our aging infrastructures. Some accomplishments that we got through for 2022, accessibility, focusing on income, so a regional low income pass and some accessibility programming. Partnerships between jurisdictions, including School District 71 and First Nations. And asset management, continue maintenance upgrades during the shutdowns, utilizing the asset management process and through the completed facility condition assessment of the Sports Center and the Aquatic Center. Some current projects on the go here is the aquatic study. So the Comox Valley Regional District and the City of Courtenay had recently completed independent facility condition assessments for their respective aquatic facilities, which concluded that both the Comox Valley Regional District Sports Center pool and the City of Courtenay and District Memorial Outdoor Pool are nearing the end of their expected lifespans. Through this knowledge, the Comox Valley Regional District and the City of Courtenay joined forces on a community-wide aquatic strategy that will shape the future of public swimming in the region for at least the next 25 years. And the aquatic strategy will ensure long-term facility plans align with community expectation for aquatic services. Just a quick financial overview. So for 2022, the operating budget was $6,923,000 and a capital budget of projects and equipment for $610,000. Revenue resources, the requisition of $5.2 million, the sales of service of $1.5 million, and the sales of service examples are swim and skate lessons, public swims, public skates, as well as grants in lieu for $138,000. And the highlights for capital funding sources. We have two funding sources. One of them is the Capital Works Reserve, and the other one is the Future Expenditure Reserves. The Future Expenditure Reserves is for future planning, anything that comes up on emergency and potential operational needs. And for projects, asset management is a priority. And our examples that we're currently working on is air handling units, filtrations, and heat reclaim, further heat reclaim projects. Just a little bit on the trends. So over the past couple of seasons, COVID saw us through facility closures and required recreation services to rethink Comox Valley to now, as we've managed to emerge and flow through the epidemic and out the other side, where recreation services is seeing an increased participation in rehab and wellness, summer camp programs, and swim lessons and outdoor camps. Having the space and opportunity to run outdoor camps, in particular during COVID, has been a real positive success in our community. Over the past years, it's become increasingly clear that recreation and active living is essential to personal health. Recreation is key to human development and essential to quality of life. Recreation reduces self-destruction and antisocial behaviors. And recreation builds strong families and healthy communities. And lastly, recreation is good for the economy. So on that note, staff are happy to take questions.
Thanks, Jennifer. And that was a very efficient overview. Any questions? Sorry, I'm having a hard time with my diagram here. I think it's Director Gree. Oh, no, it must be Director Hillian. Oh.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Jennifer, for the overview. I'm just wondering, we're as directors approached from time to time by community groups who have an issue or want to promote a program. And normally we wouldn't get in touch with you directly, but I'm just wondering if you're accessible to people in the community, if we should be advising them that they should contact you or how they should formally get in touch with the regional district to talk about a recreation issue, or if they want to present a delegation, those types of things.
Oh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, could you hit your button up again, please? I hit 2. There we go.
Thank you, through the chair. The entire management team is available through phone calls and email. There's also the community services branch and the recreation external email that people can send in emails through, and all the staff are very quick to provide responses and happy to meet with anybody that has ideas or suggestions to way to change things or improve things or just new things.
Great. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
And alternate director Shalikar.
Thank you, Chair. And thanks for the presentation. Nice to meet you. I'm wondering if you could speak to the LEAP program and where the regional district is at in terms of the implementation and the piloting of that program, or if it's past the pilot phase of the project, the service.
Through the chair, the pilot is complete and we're in full use. All the way, adults, children, senior, teens, kids.
Oh, very good.
Thank you. Usage, what's the uptake like? Can you speak to the success of the program?
Through the chair, staff would like to bring back maybe some numbers to the next rec commission. We can speak to it has had a successful uptake, but maybe to give some accurate numbers, staff would like to bring that back.
Great. Seeing no further questions. Were you going to carry on to the next or yeah? I'll let you pick it up.
660. Yeah. Thank you. Through the chair, the staff are here again to provide a quick orientation on the Comox Valley Exhibition Grounds Service Function 660, which includes both the exhibition and Stonehenge sites. The site consists of 40+ acres of developed area and natural park settings and is a major hub for many types of activities, including equestrian events, dog shows, curling bonspiels, community fairs, and musical events. Just a quick reminder, the Curling Center building lives on the exhibition grounds, however, falls under the Rec Complex budget 645. Features and amenities include a couple indoor barns, an outdoor barn, and several riding rings and arenas. Anybody that would like to come and ride their horse on the grounds, there's monthly and annual casual rider passes available for purchase. And we also have 2 long-term lease agreements, one with Therapeutic Riding and one with the Comox Valley Curling Club on site. The purpose is to provide funding to operate and maintain the exhibition grounds. And the participants are comprised of directors from Bain Sound Electoral Area A, Lazo North Area Electoral Area B, Published to Black Creek, Electoral Area C, the City of Corney, the Town of Comox, the Village of Cumberland, and a school district number 71 trustee. And the governance, again, the Comox Valley Rec Commission. On our overview, the strategic priorities that we just reviewed in the 645, in combination with the CVRD strategic drivers of the fiscal responsibility, partnerships, and asset management and climate crisis action, all again form part of the yearly staff work plans. As well, the Recreation Services is responsible for the overall management of the CVRD exhibition grounds, programs, services, and facilities. And that we provide services to promote healthy, active lifestyles by maintaining a variety of recreational land and buildings. Our current projects that we have on the go, staff are working to complete an application to the ALC as next steps to ensure approvals of the most recent study and prep for completing any capital projects on the grounds. And just as a quick example, even just to level out the field, such as the farmers market field, approval is required from the ALC in order to bring in fill and drainage materials. So we need to get this application process completed so that we can start any kind of large projects on the grounds over the next 10 years. On the financial overview, we have an operating budget currently this year of $233,915 and capital budget projects and equipment of $137,000. We have a revenue resource of a requisition of $486,000 and $68,000 sales of service user fees. So that can be ring rentals, stall rentals, event rentals. The operations covers groundwork such as fencing, contractor costs, improving the site, safety, risk management, all those kinds of things. And then highlights of the capital funding source, transfer from reserves, estimated contribution of $152,000 into the reserves for 2022. We have a debt falling off from the purchase of Stonehenge site, which means we can put more into our reserves in future years. And in respects to projects for 2022, we've been working on grounds improvements, again, fencing, signage, riding ring, and building improvements. And for trends, I think that maybe this picture shows it the best here, and that's the farmers market. Before COVID, we had outdoor activities. During COVID, we could continue with those outdoor activities. So outdoor recreation is enjoyable for all ages. COVID really showed the importance of those outdoor spaces. Performing physical exercise while outdoor provides a way to get outside and enjoy your natural surroundings. Aside from breathing fresh air and discovering nature's many wonders, the outdoors provides various activities to keep you wanting to go back outside for more. And on that note, staff are happy to take questions.
Any questions on the exhibition ground service? Director Hillian.
Thanks, Chair. I'm just wondering if laughing loggers drink Lucky Lager.
Through the chair, no comment.
I have a question. Is the use of the exhibition grounds back to pre-pandemic levels in the last year, as we saw a lot of health orders kind of be removed?
Through the chair, we certainly have picked up, and we are exceeding where we were in the last couple of years and actually prior to COVID. We've in particular on the Stonehenge site for stall rentals and for use of our riding rings, that's really increased all the way across. A few more horse shows coming back. It's been a very good return.
That's great to hear. Thanks. I'll turn it back to you for the next.
Oh, sorry, 601. Yeah. Lisa is the shortest one. I can just dive right into it. And okay. Through the chair. So we're here to provide a super quick orientation to sports track and field function 601. The purpose is to provide funding and maintenance and capital costs of the sports track and all weather field and sports playing fields. The participants are similar to the previous two PowerPoints outside of the village of Cumberland. Governance, again, Comox Valley Rec Commission. On our overview, again, we have these strategic priorities in combination with the CVRD strategic drivers, fiscal responsibility, partnerships, asset management, and climate crisis action, all form the yearly staff work plans. And with this function, the service includes an agreement with the school district number 71 with funding for operations and maintenance of the track and synthetic turf field at the Comox Valley Sports Center and Vanier School and the Highland School fields in Comox. Our current projects that we have on the go. So we have the sports field study. The CVRD is working alongside our neighboring municipalities to collect input about the use of sports fields in the Comox Valley. With field space and time limited, we're looking at how to best plan forward to accommodate current and future needs for our sports fields. The second project or an initiative that's on the continue go is the Comox Valley Soccer Club is in the early stages of putting together a plan to build a field house at the Vanier site. The Comox Valley Regional District has allocated recreation grant funding to this nonprofit organization through the Recreation Grant Service, Function 600 to support construction. Depending on future service agreements, there may be an additional cost, share expenditure for custodial services allocated from this budget, and that could be potentially in the range of $2,000 to $500 to help with the field house. On the financial overview, we have an operating budget of $105,703, and we don't carry a capital budget. So the revenue resources primarily funded by the tax requisition of $173,000. A small amount of other revenue is also realized through reimbursements of lighting costs and sport field rentals, as well as grants in lieu. Operations, a majority of the operational expenses relate to the maintenance agreement costs with the School District 71 and the Town of Comox for the soccer, rugby, ball, and synthetic turf fields, including utilities. And what's important to note is the track and sports fields are not owned by the Comox Valley Regional District. When a capital project is scheduled, the local agency work together to determine the financing and operational details, which are brought to the Comox Valley Regional District Rec Commission for consideration. And lastly, through agreement, this service includes approximately 120,000 annually for transfers to reserves to fund the Comox Valley Regional District portion of future upgrades and replacements of the sports tracks and synthetic turf field at the Vanier Secondary School and Sports Center. And that's it. Staff are ready for questions.
Thank you, Jennifer. And I've got Director Kerr up first.
Thank you. So thank you for the presentation. Just, I guess, following up a previous question. So if a group is interested in accessing a field or having a new facility built, what's their first step? Is it to contact you directly? Is it to ask to speak as a delegation to this commission? Where would you suggest that they start?
Through the chair, for the first piece about booking a field, they would reach out to the City of Courtenay Lewis Center to book a field. So all the bookings are done through the Lewis Center. And in respects to taking those first steps, I think a conversation with staff. And from there, we make a decision on whether we would suggest they become a delegate, go forth as a delegate, or whether it's a conversation amongst staff that carries on a little bit further before coming forth as a delegation.
Director Hillian.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Jennifer. I'm just curious if the soccer club has been in touch with you at all about the Fieldhouse project. You're probably aware that there's been considerable delay based on both the pandemic and permitting issues, which have now been sorted out. But during that time, construction costs have gone up substantially, and they may be in a position where the grant that was originally provided isn't enough to cover the costs. I'm wondering if they've been in touch with you about that at all.
Through the chair, we have not heard from the soccer club since pandemic times, unless.
Okay, so I think it would be good if they sat down and talked with you, and I'm certainly willing to pass that along to them and encourage them to do so. Thanks.
Through the chair, thank you.
Thank you both. And Director Jolicoeur.
Thank you, Chair. Just a point of clarification. I think it was in this slide deck and the previous one in the first slide around role, or I'm not sure. There's the purpose, and there's three things on that first slide. And I heard you say governance, and I just through the chair like to hear. I'm just having, reading that I've got the terms of reference in front of me, which are also, and I spoke to staff about this yesterday a little bit, around operations and administrative powers of this committee, and just hearing from staff as well that in the presentation around governance. So I'm just trying to get clarity, is it a governance? Is it as what's stated in the terms of reference? Is there a convolution of the language here? Just a point of clarification.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, if there's something specific in the terms of reference you want to refer us to as a point of convolution, otherwise the general governance lies within this committee. And we look forward to the strategic prioritization of that as well. I think, from this point, we provide advice to the board on the matters pertaining to the administration operation of the service. Russell, do you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I think for the purposes of delegation, the board delegates administrative and operational decisions to the commission. The commission then is able to advise staff on what their strategic priorities are. This commission has been at that strategic priority higher level, as opposed to being a commission that dives down into the daily operations or otherwise, and basically leaves it up to staff to interpret their drivers. Jennifer reports back to you on how that's being accomplished or otherwise. You get feedback from the community through delegations or otherwise to sort of weigh how you're going. And So you don't necessarily see operational or administrative types of decisions made here at the commission. It's more that higher level guidance that then Jennifer and her team implement on your behalf. So a lot of the decisions on actual recreational programs, what the focus is in terms of types of swim lessons and such, are being made by Jennifer and her staff with feedback from the community groups that they support. You as a commission then can give broader direction on if there's groups within the community, either because of financial resources or otherwise aren't being served, and help to say where a focus might be or where some direction can be. And that can come either through your financial plan review and assessment or through your strategic planning processes that we take. And this commission will be meeting in the new year to sort of set its direction from a strategic priority level. Right now, that's largely focused on capital, given the demands that have been expressed to us by the community and given the reports and analysis that we've done. That right now that's being focused on more of the capital aspect, but certainly if this board has a priority to go into other areas and ensuring that interest groups in the community are well represented by your recreation service, that's another thing that the commission can do and set. I hope that provides some insight to you.
Thank you.
Maybe also add quickly that there is a policy piece as well. So things like ICE allocation policy, your fees and charges bylaws, the LEAP program initiated by this group also is one of those higher level considerations we consider when we bring it forward.
And seeing no further questions, you have one more presentation, is that right? Oh.
Thank you. Through the chair, I'm here to present the recreation grant number 600. This is new to the Rec Commission this year. Essentially, the purpose of Recreation Grant 600 is to provide contributions to the cost of recreation programs provided by public authorities and nonprofit organizations, and to provide contributions towards the Courtenay and District Memorial Outdoor Pool. Should note the Courtenay Outdoor Pool was really the foundation for this agreement, and since then in time it's evolved to include more public authorities and nonprofits within our group. As you can see here, it's your typical mix. The municipalities and electoral areas are the participants and is overseen by the Recreation Commission. Really is primarily a granting service, so we don't get involved in a lot of the operations of the groups. We really just look for their 5-year financial plan, bring those requests forwards. And if specific support or nuances are noted, we will, of course, contact them and discuss that with them and bring those to you. Regularly, you mainly see that that's just at budget time to make decisions on those matters. The current projects and arrangements we have, as I've alluded to, the outdoor pool will be driving some of the discussions coming forward with the condition assessments and aquatic study, and will determine future requests. A few examples of some long-standing support we have for many organizations include the ones listed there. So annually, we've seen this budget increase over the years, and we're now sitting about 590,000, which will also include contributions to various capital items, such as the one we just spoke about with the soccer field house. And more importantly, I think it's important that we'll be putting our minds to the future of the outdoor pool and what those outcomes will be. And we're expecting to see increases there. So with the trends coming, we've seen more and more partners joining us over the years. We're seeing increased support asked from those partners as they begin to realize the benefit of having additional funding to run their nonprofits. I've mentioned the Courtenay Outdoor Pool too many times in this presentation, so skip over that. But really, a lot of these groups are aligned with the high value of outdoor recreation, and we see that continuing within this community. Here's some of the groups on our local Comox Lake enjoying your grant of life jackets and paddles that you gave to a group a couple of years ago. So with that, I will open to any questions.
Thank you for that overview, Doug. Is there any questions from the board? Director Grant.
Just wondering, would the sailing club we have at the marina, would that be something that could possibly come and see about getting some grant funding?
Oh, sorry. Looking on the Zoom.
Sorry, I should. It's possible. We'd have to work with them and determine what their ask was and whether it aligns with the public values and if they are a nonprofit. Yeah. Actually, they can go online and look at the recreation grant and go through that process, which we'll bring together.
Director Arbor on Zoom has a question here.
Yeah, thank you. More of a comment. I'm actually pretty excited that the recreation grant will be included as part of the commission going forward, because I think there's a great opportunity to have, as we embark, the next item on the agenda is strategic planning. And I think it will be great to have a conversation following on Dr. Grant's comment as to how do we, or do we want to align and leverage those community partners and contributions in advancing our broader recreational goals. So I very much look forward to bring forward that discussion, that strategic planning. Thank you.
Agreed. Thanks for that comment, Director Arbor. Seeing no other questions, we can vote on receipt. Is there anyone opposed? Seeing none, that passes. And on to item 3, 2023 Recreation Strategic Planning and Capital Development Timeline. Could I get a motion for receipt?
Thank you very much, Chair and Commissioners, and Doug will present this report and answer your questions too.
Thank you. This is largely to look at the recreation timeline for the delivery of capital investments and the strategic plan coming forward in the new year. I think it's important to acknowledge the foresight the previous Rec Commission had at identifying a number of studies, including the aquatic study and field studies, as well as some of the studies that have been done on the past to put us in a position to look at how we move our amenities and services to the community forward. As such, we're looking at bringing those key studies to you on January 10th to review with our consultants, as well as some of the highlights of other studies in the past, and introducing you to where we've gotten to so far. We will be seeking direction around public comment and believe that there's an opportunity for brief windows of some of those studies around public comment, specifically with our commitments to aquatics and the city of Courtenay, who partnered with the aquatic study and their desire to have a public comment period. Well, it may also be fortunate enough to have a hint at what our GHGs may look like and some of the impacts for you to consider moving forward in February. Asset management will also play a role there, although we don't expect to present too much on that on January 10th. Moving from that date, we'll really start to dive into our strategic planning session for the Recreation Commission. We'll revisit our values of asset management, partnerships, connectivity, accessibility, and volunteer engagement, and really define the path forward. We'll try to move away from the capital development conversation in that February discussion and focus on the strategic direction, which will help then inform our March 2nd conversations around the capital development workshop, which will really be based on your strategic priorities. This will likely be the first time you're going to see the what and how to really finance some possible deliverables that have been mentioned over the years. And it'll be important that we sit down and consider these. The true objective here is to define the priorities for community recreation facilities to serve the community over the next 20 years, which will finally create that roadmap of facility improvements. So you'll have many decisions to make at that March 2nd, or we hope we make many decisions at that March 2nd meeting to direct staff and set goals for staff on how to serve this Rec Commission best over the next 4 years. With that roadmap coming back to you, either during the financial planning process of what we've heard and help to move the Rec Commission's goals and strategic priorities forward. I'd like to just end it there to leave time for questions. I think there's an important item coming forth in the next few months for the Rec Commission to discuss.
Thanks for that. And yeah, we just have 8 minutes left of the meeting. So if everyone could keep their questions concise and I think I have Director Morin up first.
Great, thank you. I was just curious in terms of whether staff has access to kind of data around recreation trends and whether that, if that can be something that could be part of the strategic planning process going forward. I mean, we know during COVID, we've seen some definite, new trends, I think, in terms of more outdoor recreation. And of course, in the studies that we've had with public feedback, we've received information that shows some of those changes in trends. But I think that's an interesting piece of information that could really help us because, I mean, we obviously can't predict the future, but we do know that in terms of our demographics and folks who are moving here, maybe used to different ways of recreating. And so I just wondered if that was ever factored in, if you have access to that information provincially or, those think tanks that do that kind of data gathering. Thanks.
Yes, through our BCRPA, which is our professional association, we do have access to some of that information. You'll also see some of it coming through the review of the background studies on January 10th, and we'll further go deeper into that for your February 21st session with maybe perhaps a background to kick us off that morning.
Thank you. And I have Director Arbour.
Yeah, thanks. I think Dr. Morin is spot on in another way too, in that I'm at FCM this week, and the big topic, of course, is cost of inflation and cost of infrastructure. And obviously, if there's a miraculous alignment between the fact that people increasingly enjoy the outdoor spaces and that's also utilizes natural assets that could be a little lower in capital and less capital intensive, those are great discussions to have. But my initial comment is just that in terms of the timeline that's proposed, I think it's awesome. I think that very methodic and carrying us over a few months with an important set of decisions rather than to have a one-day session where we get crammed with everything and need to make some decisions. I think that this is a really thoughtful approach to raise our knowledge, build some consideration, and then make some decisions later. So thanks to staff for that suggestion.
Great, thanks for those comments. And Director Jean-Luc Carl next.
Thanks, Chair. My comments and some questions on the timeline. It appears the last strategic plan was 2016, established in 2016. Is that correct? 2019. And at that time, was there a process of community engagement in the development of the strategic plan?
Through the chair, no public engagement. It was a workshop with the Rec Commission.
Okay. And so I'm seeing kind of as two things here. We've got the strategic planning timeline going aligned with a capital development timeline, capital projects being obviously a big part of what plays out in the strategic plan. And I guess dissimilar to Director Arbour, I actually feel like this timeline is quite compressed, not so much for the capital component of what's being proposed, but actually for a strategic plan review, which is indicated here within February. And so I wonder, given that this service is very public facing, and I understand that there was quite a large window of opportunity for the public to engage in the separated engagement windows for the aquatic center and the rinks and the fields. But given that there's also a programmatic component to this commission's work, I wonder if there's an opportunity for either public engagement for strategic planning purposes as a whole, or specifically for the aspects that aren't covered under the studies and the assessments that have been done thus far.
Yeah, as you've noted, there's been a fair amount of public consultation over the years through the studies. Our typical approach with the Rec Commission has been to do a one-day session similar to what we do with the board in identifying the strategic visioning Of course, it'll be up to the rec commission how they foresee that, and perhaps that's something we can bring forward at the January 10th if there's a desire to change those timelines, but we're just following our process that allows the elected officials who are in close contact with their community members to have good connections with defining their own strategic planning goals that really help direct staff.
Thanks for that. Did you have a subsequent? Or did you want to add something there? No? All right. Yeah, moving on. We're almost out of time here. So we'll vote on receipt. Is there any opposition to receipt? That's carried, and under the recommendation. Thank you. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And we will